Welcome to Reveal and Heal, where stories unfold and hearts start to feel. With your host, Dr. Coach Deb, guiding through pain to where love is bred. You can't heal what you don't reveal. Open the door, let your soul appeal. Through heartbreak, struggle and strife, it's time to reclaim your life. Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, whatever your time is in your location. I am Dr. Coach Deb, and it's a pleasure to be back, to talk about the very thing that you might need today. Who knows what that is? Who knows? The stories, the truth that comes to Reveal and Heal podcast. Because we are different as a people, you just don't know the story that's going to be told. But I can tell you, coming from the person that the Lord has allowed to come into my space, y'all, I need for you to get ready for the amazing storyteller. I call her Dr. D. Her name is Daquisha Chever. Now, doctor, you let me know if I did not pronounce your name correctly, because I tend to murder names because I enunciate the name based off of how it looks, and sometimes that's just not the way it is. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
So my last name is pronounced Chever, like an overachiever.
Y'all listen. See, I would have thought that was Chever, but it's
Yes.
Chever. Okay.
Yes.
Ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen, Dr. Cheever. So she's going to come forth and she's going to share. Now, y'all know when it comes to the podcast how, real we are. You already know how real we are, and we communicate, we talk, and we engage. And you guys, y'all sit back and y'all are like with notes and journals, because a lot of times, you have to have your tissue. It just depends on the story. Our beautiful lady today, y'all, she's an author, and she's on a book tour too right now. We're going to talk more about that so she can tell y'all where to go to purchase her book. But this sister is a real queen. I want you to put your hands together and show your love for Dr. Cheever. Ma'am, please tell the people who you are.
Yes, thank you for having me. I am Dr. D, Dr. Daquisha Cheever, and I am a family medicine physician. I am based out of Atlanta, Georgia, and I've been living there for the last 7 years. And I'm just so happy to be a part of the show, this segment today, to share with you guys my journey and my struggles and how I became to be who I am today, which is now an author of 2 books. My third book is about to be released next year. And I'm just encouraging everybody who's listening and who know me that they can become a success story in their own right. And I'm just wanting everyone to know that they can get their releasing spree on, which is what I'm an advocate of. And I'm the creator of the releasing spree, which is releasing out the good, but also sometimes you gotta let the some of the not so good things out as well. So releasing your past trauma, past hurt, past experiences that left you maybe in a different space. But we got to release all those things too to get you to your next best in your health, in your relationships, in your career. So whatever that might be for you, that's what releasing is all about.
Oh, wow. See, you've gotten started, Dr. D. And because you have shared so much in the very beginning, I'm interested in knowing, in just a few words, who would you say Dr. D is outside of all of your great successes?
I am very humble. I'm down to earth. I'm approachable. I like to have fun. I like to enjoy life. Like right now, I'm in Aruba right now, celebrating my fourth wedding anniversary with my wonderful husband. I am a mother. I have a 12-year-old daughter. She'll be 13 in February. So I'm navigating these preteen, whatever you want to call them, years right now. And it's a journey. It's not easy. So I'm trying to pack light so I can deal with all of the things that she needs me to be there for her for.
Now, tell us, what is a moment or a memory that made you know you were called to serve others in the way that you are serving?
Yes, so that's a good one because that's a good question because I didn't decide this career very easy. It was a struggle, it was a challenge for me. And I'm gonna kind of keep it short, but trying to explain things to the listeners so that they can understand some of the journey. Um, so I was one of those rebellious kids who really didn't want to go to college because I was like, you can't gotta be kidding me. I gotta go through 4 more years to get a degree and blah blah blah. And then here I am, 12 years with my residency and everything else to be where I am. So how did I get here? Like I said, I was a wild child. My parents, had other children who did go to college, and so they wanted me to go to college, but I was rebellious. So I was like, no, I don't want to do that if I don't know what I want to do with my life. So give me a chance to see what I want to do with my life. So they gave me an opportunity to take a year off from high school. And they, said, hey, at the end of the year, you got to make up your mind what you want to do with yourself. So I worked at TJ Maxx. I had, done that all through high school. So, I stayed on there. I worked every day. I had a full-time job. And then at the end of the year, it went by so fast. I was like, oh my gosh, like this year is up. I have not decided. I still didn't want to go to college. And I'm sitting there watching TV one day and a commercial comes on, and the commercial was like, hey, you can get your career, you can do, X, Y, and Z, come to be a medical assistant, it's like an 8 month long, program, and you can have your career and you can have, a job and a secure future. And I was thinking, yes, that's what I want. I didn't want to go to 4 year school. I wanted to have a career. I wanted to be successful, but I wanted to take the shortcut. And so, little to my knowing then that the shortcut was going to lead me down this huge marathon of a career path. But what kept me motivated was the fact that I was passionate. So, to answer your question, I became a medical assistant. And from that point, I was working with doctors who were in training, so they were all learning. So I was like, like, oh, I didn't realize that, like this was like part of the career, like to learn, like in the field, to be a training physician. So I got to see what it was like to mold a doctor into who they are. And I was so inspired. And I had great mentors. And I had family who supported me. And it was just, the rest just unravels into who I am today. And so it just came to me so naturally, becoming a medical assistant to becoming a doctor, because I was so passionate about helping other people, helping them to heal, finding out what's wrong, getting down to the anatomy and the physiology. I was there for it. I loved it. I love learning. And once the doctors knew that I was listening, they kept inspiring me. They kept motivating me. And more than ever, they kept me. They kept their support with, just show me that I could do it by telling me the steps I needed to take to get to be where I'm at.
Now, I want to get more into the journey to medicine and in your coaching, but I'm so intrigued by the name Peachy. What does Peachy look like for you?
Peachy looks like for me being at peace,
Oh, come on now.
having inner peace, being able to lay my head down at night and go to sleep and not have all these worries or thoughts. That's peachy. That's peachy right there. You
Girl,
can't
that is
doesn't
so
get much better
perfect.
than that.
Oh my God. Are you a Georgia girl? Just
Yes, ma'am.
wondering. Oh my
Yes.
God. You know, you have redefined the word peachy because you know how they address the women as Georgia peaches.
Mm-hmm.
Like your definition better. I
Yes.
love how it speaks, you know, to your mental and to your spiritual self. That's good. I hope you got that copy written. I'm telling y'all, for you, those of you that are listening, that doesn't belong to you. That belongs to Dr. D. So I just want to put that out there, give you a chance to copyright it.
You're so funny. Yes.
Let's go. Let's get back into the journey.
Yes.
You how you started out, you
Mhm.
know, and you now are just rocking and rolling. So the journey to medicine and coaching, how did you go from medicine to life coaching and
Mhm.
authorship?
All of that, when I think about it, I guess it was more of a sequential step by step kind of process, because all of this was very spur of the moment. Like I said, right, I was trying to go back to school to please my parents, and I wanted to have a career, but I didn't know what I wanted to do, and had a lot of mentors, etc. So I wanted to be that. I wanted to have that. I wanted to give back. I wanted to be inspiring and be motivating and helping others to achieve their dreams and their next best. So I had to figure out, okay, well, what else did I do when I was going through the mud? What
Mhm.
did I do? And that's basically what I did. I read books. I studied, I read books that were self help, self improvement, mindset, all of that, all of it. And to get me to where I am, because I needed something else to be feeding my soul, feeding my spirit, going to church. There were times when I wasn't able to go to church, so I had to listen to podcasts and TD Jakes in the car, just to just stay motivated spiritually. So I wanted to be able to do something that was written for people to be able to look at, or to be able to talk with me through website questions or whatever it might be, social media these days. Now everything's social media. So I had to find some way to let my to inspire other people to get to their next best. And so this is how I did it, through my books.
You know, you answered a question, and I call it my shanana because it was in my spirit, whether this was parallel or sequential, and you just drove it through. You know, because you know what you're doing. This is not something that you just landed on. You do this. So thank you for answering the question that was in my spirit. Now we want to talk about what parts of being a physician inform your coaching and vice versa.
hmm the coaching part was like a natural, because that's what I do anyway. So
Right.
when I'm one on one with the patient, we have a conversation. I'm not just in there dictating to people, reading out of a textbook, word by word, anatomy, what's going on. We have a real life, real world conversation about their health, about what they're going through. As a holistic physician, I need to be able to relate mind, body, spirit, health, all of that. Patients come with questions. I like to answer questions. I don't ever I always have time for questions. That's the one thing that I pride myself on when I'm in a room with a patient, is that whatever you want to ask me, ask me. So it's just our time, really, between patient and doctor. And that's what coaching is. When you get down to the nitty gritty about life coaching, is really getting down to the nitty gritty about what's going on in your life and what changes you want to happen. And then having a conversation and having someone who has some experience give you some advice.
Like that you switched it up. You know, you went from consulting to
Mm-hmm.
life coaching, and life coaching is more personal. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? It's not so professional to where they kind of like fall back from certain types of questions. You draw them in when you life coach. So I can appreciate that, and it leads me to a question regarding your own healing.
Mm.
You know, a lot of times we're not always ready to share.
Mhm.
when we go through something. But I believe that you can't heal unless you reveal. So you heal while you are, or while you're helping others. And that's the reveal of it all because you're so passionate about it. So my question would be to you, what was the defining turning point when you had to choose healing over hiding?
So that's a really good question. And healing has come in so many shapes and forms in my life and through different circumstances and decades of my life that I've had to learn how to heal from within. But one of the things that comes to mind right off is when I had checked off the boxes for becoming a doctor, and then I got pregnant with my daughter. And at the time, I was unwed, and I thought I had done everything in theory, right, correctly with my career path. And so now I was like, oh no, what happened? Because now I'm a brand new physician, just graduated, you guys, too. Like, this is not something that, it's like a 2 year later period. This is like literally, I graduated from residency in July. I found out in July that I was pregnant, and I had just ended a relationship in June. So it was the best of times with everything going on career wise. But, as a relationship standpoint, things were kind of falling apart.
Mm,
But, as a family that comes from, you know, we rise, and when turmoil comes, well, we try to rise and figure things out and not to be doubtful. So I was hopeful the whole time, and I know I just told myself, you know what? There has been plenty of single mothers
mm,
in my family, and if they can do it, so can I.
mm. The self-help books that you used to read, were any of them inspiring to you when you needed it for yourself, for self-love, healing, and purpose?
Oh
Did
yeah,
you still
so
refer back to that?
yeah, so releasing, manifesting all of me, my second book, definitely was written during a time, it was written during COVID. So
Oh,
it was written during a time when a lot was going on in the medical field. Things were changing every day. Wear a mask, don't wear a mask, get a shot, don't get a shot. I mean, it was all this going on. Send your patient to the hospital, don't send them to the hospital. So, I mean, so that book was written purely out of releasing my own personal conflicts with what I was dealing with
mhm,
interpersonally
mhm.
in the at home. Even my parents were living with me at the time because they came down for the winter and they had to stay for the winter. It's spring, I mean, because of COVID. So I'm like, y'all gonna stay here. You're not gonna travel on the airplane to go back home. So there was a lot going on. So releasing was really birthed because of what I was going through in my personal life.
Sounds like you did a whole lot of reassurance when it came to self-love, um, because unbeknownst to you, many things took place that you didn't plan, and didn't see coming. You know how we have foresight?
Hmm.
There's sometimes we miss it, when we are in a space where we're saying, I'm just going to do me. I'm just going to get myself together. And then life happens. So
Yep.
let's talk about, tell the audience that are listening, because I know by now they're engaged. I feel it really, really, really close in the spirit. Now, define self love. And once you do that, tell us the difference between your definition of self love and self care.
Okay, so self love is regardless of what you've done in your past, present, or what you're thinking about doing that may not be 100%, you know, in your foresight, that you know of for sure, things
Yeah.
that you're thinking of doing.
Mm.
You love yourself through the entire process. That's self-love. No matter what mistakes you've made in the past, what happened yesterday, what happened today, you have continuous self-love of yourself and all of yourself.
Oh, that is so good. So your life coaching, consists of self-love, healing, and purpose, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what are the most common hangups you see people struggle with? When they are trying to step into their purpose.
They get in their own way.
Girl,
They
come
start
on
to
now. That's
they get in their own way.
I felt
You
that.
know? Yeah, they get in their own way. It's not the people, and sometimes it's not your friends or your family. It's you. Look in the mirror sometimes. You get in your own way because you're self-doubtful, because you think you don't have time. Maybe you think you don't have all the resources. So you can literally get in your own way of your next best. So that's the biggest thing, the biggest hang up I see is that people will talk themselves out of their destiny.
Today, that's a whole word. It's a whole word. That's a Selah moment. It's like, let me just think about that right there. That is a Selah moment. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
staring you right in the face. You know how you go to therapy, you get do all these things. And it's like, if you sit in your stuff long
Mm-hmm.
enough, you will see that it's you. Oh, that is so good.
Yes.
Oh, that is so good. Why we don't have time to see it. Oh my God, that is so good.
You
I
gotta
really,
look in the
really
mirror
love that.
sometimes. It's gotta look in the mirror. We can be our own worst
That's so
enemy.
good. Yes. I can't shake it off. I can't shake it off because I see it on a regular basis. I just see it often. And sometimes people are not ready to receive that, girl. They want you to give them something fancy. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? But no,
Yeah.
ma'am. Pull out your comeback. Oh, bless it. My goodness. Okay, so what was the most common hang up for you?
Self-doubt for
Transparent
sure.
moment.
Self-doubt. I had a lot of self-doubt. It wasn't easy. You take that kid that worked at TJ Maxx who took a year off from going to college, who didn't like high school, who really wasn't trying to do all the academics in high school. So when you put me into a college bowl and you tell me to take all these classes, it was hard.
Oh no,
So
come on.
I had to start from scratch. I'm talking like math 101. I mean, I had to go from the bottom to the top to get where I'm at. And literally, I used to cry myself to chemistry class because I was always the last one in the lab trying to figure things out. So it was not easy to get to be, Dr. D. It was definitely, definitely have a testimony to share with everybody. That's why I want to encourage everybody else because I've been through it. I know what it's like to shed tears over failed tests or exams or not making the cut. I know what it's like.
That's good, dear. So would you say that you did deal with shame? You
Oh yes.
mentioned you mentioned self doubt. So,
Mhm.
and then of course, without saying the word shame, you defined it in because shame is a definition that's different but for everybody, on different levels. What practice, if you had one that you used, what was
Mhm.
one practice you recommend for someone who feels stuck, in a shameful situation or self
Mhm.
doubt? Which those two are very, very common, very, very common. And I can't wait for you to share. What practice do you recommend?
Yeah, so a lot of my is faith based. A
Yes.
lot of a lot of my books I read when I was going through school was always T.D. Jakes. Is one of the authors I had on repeat because I had to be able to find encouragement from reading the Word and because sometimes your friends can't do that. Your friends sometimes are they're too busy to even tell you to pray. So I think it was so impactful for me to be able to stand tall and strong on my faith spiritually to help me to get to where I am.
Oh, that is so good. Amen. Amen.
And
I, I,
and
I
not
just,
only that too, it's just I had to forgive myself because once I made it, I was like, wow, I beat myself up all those times, and look at me, here I am.
you know what, Dr. D, you are really in the flow. And it was prophetic when we first started that when I stated that you didn't highlight the questions that I had presented, for you to, just point out that you wanted me to ask, and you said I'm open. And you mentioned, that you just like the flow and you feel like that's what's going to happen. Girl, when I tell you that's what's happening, because see, you're talking about trauma moments now. It's like I'm not even, I sometimes skip around, but it's like the flow of how I got things set up is how we're going. And you just touched on some trauma places. And I'm ready to transition because trauma and healing it is just so major even before we know the definition of it being so. And you are a medical physician, and you also have emotional lens.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord has blessed you to be able to give people a double whammy just on purpose, you know. So it's like, how? How do you approach the healing trauma from both a medical and an emotional perspective?
Mhm, mhm. It's not too much of a difference, honestly. The thing I could say the most important thing is to allow yourself some grace, forgive yourself, reach out for help. Don't carry the load on your own. Don't try to take on the world on your shoulders. Um, and have patience. Be patient because healing takes time.
Come on now.
Healing takes time.
I just posted today that healing was episodes. I mean, healing was a series. Each episode at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And you are so right, dear.
Mm-hmm.
And it leads me to the next question because you're so passionate. You're so passionate. Is there a story specifically as a physician or coach, either one of them, where healing looked different than what people expected?
Yeah, so I have a family member I could share this story with, lost their spouse. And he lost his spouse and thought, they've been together. Well, they've been together for 20 some years, lovely marriage, you know, um, and he lost her unexpectedly. And so at the time, they think, you think you'll never be able to find love again, don't want love again. You've lost the love of your life. So what does that look like to even think about replacing your love for another love? Um, and that's exactly what ends up happening. He ends up finding another spouse, fell in love again, found love again, healed, and was able um, to move on to the next phase. So sometimes your healing is not what you think it may look like. You may think it's the end, when really it's just a moment in time for you to pivot and to embrace something new and instead.
Have you always been a natural when it comes to speaking?
No, no, definitely not.
So, would you say life, the things that you have experienced, gave you a voice?
Oh yes, definitely. Like I was the girl in class who would sit up front just so I can avoid people around me because I didn't want distraction. I couldn't take distractions. So I would sit up front and people would, people get, even in college, people were kind of mean. They would be like, oh, why is she sitting up front? She thinks she's better than everybody else. No, I don't want to sit up in the back
We'll
because
sit up
I'm trying to
front.
pass this class and not fail and talk to y'all all class. How about that? So yeah, so I've always been a little bit, kind of quiet. I wasn't, but like you mentioned though, my entire journey, from the day I enrolled as a medical assistant to where I am now, it's been quite the ride. That's for sure.
I find that you're so interesting and intriguing to talk to. We could go through 2 hours before I know it, but I have to pivot because you are married, and I've already talked about you. to letting people know certain things about you, certain levels. So I want to get some questions in about partnership and
Mm-hmm.
marriage. But
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you, honey, your single life, it's like your life so far is like so motivating and inspiring. It's real life. You know what I mean? So help some people that have
Mm-hmm.
partnerships and marriages, because you're now on a very romantic trip with your husband of 4 years. And so I want you to share, how can partners support someone working through trauma without becoming a fixer?
Ooh, that's a lot what, from a female perspective, you know, men want to be a fixer.
Mm,
So it's up to us ladies to, you know, try to share with them in a way so that they don't seem that they have to fix it. Because, it's sometimes better to be a good listener.
mm,
And then when we listen, we end up getting fixed anyway because we've listened to the advice or recommendations, and it may take us to look back and say, oh yeah, that was you that actually
mm,
helped me
mm.
get through that. But just being a good listener, no matter what was going on, being there for your partner. Don't try to offer too many suggestions at one time, because that's what fixers do. Well, do that. Well, do this. No, do that. Well, you didn't do that. Try this. So that's the fixer, right? That's the fixer mentality. Is like the little game where you had a little the guys that pop up, the little whack-a-moles that pop up, and you
Yeah.
keep on trying to whack them down and get them to go down at the same time. That's a fixer. So you don't want that in your relationship. You want someone to listen and to be able to communicate in ways that you can receive.
Oh, that is so good. Because see, the thing about it is, fixers highlight trauma in their own lives. It's just a layer in which they have not yet tapped into. But we tend to tell on ourselves a lot of times when we're just carrying on, because listening requires a skill.
Mm-hmm.
It's problematic when you can't listen. There are gifts that are given to you if you tap into it. It's called selective hearing, and it's
Amen.
called, yes, ma'am. Selective hearing is one of them, and also it's like you can tap out before you know it, and you can come back and you can be just like looking at the stories. If you were ever
Mhm.
one that looked at soap operas, you could miss about 5 episodes and come back and you ain't missed nothing.
Right.
So listening is something that requires skill, and it helps in the partnership when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to fixers, because women are known to be fixers. You are
Mm-hmm.
familiar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Women are known to be fixers. I'm an advocate and an ambassador for victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. So it's like sometimes nurturers get into abusive relationships and they just want to fix everybody.
Right.
So I appreciate how you were able to bring balance to the both, because a lot of the women that I do interviews with, nobody want to tap into the male. I have to ask them, please share. We want the balance,
Mm-hmm.
because we all need help. So now marriage, communication, and relationship growth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. From a married couple's point of view, what are the top 3 habits that keep marriage healthy? And I believe the one of them is listening.
Yes, that's right. Communication is key. Say what you mean what you say. Just
You're gonna
keep
make me
keep
run up in here.
keep
This
it
ain't even my
simple. You
place.
keep it simple. Keep it simple, right? Communication. If you, no one's a mind reader, right?
Yes. Yes.
No
Oh,
one's
that's
a
so
mind
good.
reader. So that's number one.
Okay.
Number two, I'm a faith-based Christian. So praying together, going to church with your spouse or loved one, um, having that connection,
Yes. That
through
oneness.
church,
Hmm.
through faith,
Okay.
and then having fun. I told you I'm someone who likes to have fun, and you know, so that's keeping it fun, keeping it light, having a date night,
Yes.
being a friend. and not just
Yeah.
being a wife or a husband, being that person's true friend.
Well, that keeps outside relationships when you can be all the things that that your partner needs. And did you know that those three things that you mentioned are all three communication?
Mm.
And you highlighted communication like that's a must. That's a must. That's a must right there. And all three of the things that you mentioned, ladies and gentlemen, hear me clearly. The three things that Dr. D mentioned are all communication in their own right. Thank you for that, dear. Thank you for that. I'm about to highlight that on social media. Okay, now, how do you and your spouse navigate times when one of you, of course, is in a deep healing? Because
Mhm.
you everything's new when you first get married. Everything is new. And that could be the smallest things that trigger something like, wait, now, I didn't know that. So help us today. Help us, honey.
Yes. So this is a good one. So I would say one of the main things I feel like that should I want to tell the listeners is that, giving space for that other person to grieve or whatever it is they're going through. Don't overcrowd them. When they want to share, they'll share. Let them know that you're available, and that way they can come to you to communicate. But if you're just kind of nagging and giving them information, giving them suggestions, and they're not trying to receive any suggestions, you have to know when to like walk away, take a step back, give them their space, and then in their own time, definitely they'll come to you.
That is so good, Dr. D, what you just stated. Oh my God, I got cold chills. That is so good what you just stated because there's a word that's called uh, quiet the noise.
Mm,
And it's like, I believe every human deals with trauma. I don't know the level of it. I just know that everyone does.
mhm,
And there will be some that say, "Girl, I ain't been through nothing. I always had it and I had a good life." But there are triggers.
mhm,
It could be perfume, cologne. It could be food. It could be wind, the sun. It could be fire. It could be furniture. It could be an ant. There is a trigger that you will be shaken by, and you didn't even think it existed. But sometimes when those traumas arise, guess what you need? A quiet space.
mhm.
Because you are not
Amen.
familiar. You don't know what just happened. And it can just tear a whole relationship apart. That was so good with ooh, girl, that was so good what you just said. You gotta have that space.
Mhm.
And you don't need all that extra talking, hallelujah to God.
Right.
You don't need all, please just give me. Because the quiet time, guess who's talking? The Lord. The
Amen.
Lord, the one that
Amen.
knows all. He's the one that's doing the talking. I can't hear him with you in my ear now.
Mhm.
I need to hear the Lord. Listen, I'm telling you, girl. Oh my God, this gonna be a rotation. I'm putting you on rotation on the radio station. Yes, I am. Y'all hear me on the air right now saying that this is what's gonna happen. Oh my God. Okay, now I have another one. I'm really loving this one. Okay, so now how do you balance self care? Because see, you're in a partnership, you're in a marriage. And a lot of times, with marriages, it's like you can't breathe. So, how do you balance self care with the demands, of being a partner or a wife? Because some men and women are clingy.
Yeah. So you know what I do? I put it on. I put it into my day, into my week. I make the time. You have to physically sometimes make that time. You know what I mean? Just like you schedule your dentist appointment or you go to the salon for your nails. You have to really make time out to say, this is my 30 minutes. This is my 1 hour. And sometimes, your self care will look different when you're in your 20s versus when you're in your 40s. So you have to just figure out what that self care looks like for yourself, where you are now, presently, and then make that time commitment to do that. because otherwise you can talk yourself out of doing self-care because you have other things, thousand things else to do. So you really have to really make the time, put it on your calendar, schedule it in.
Oh, we. You done stirred the fire, because I have to do it. See, that's a habit, and it's a daily life habit that is so important that you have to have in your life. But when it comes to men and women, and this is important that I want you to answer. What is one conversation every couple should have early in marriage that most couples avoid? And I believe self care is one of them. That's why I wanted to ask you that first. It's like whatever you do for self care, you can take trips. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? By yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's a discussion. That's a conversation. You can't just up and do stuff that you didn't talk about when you get married. Like, where you going? What you doing? Well, we didn't talk about that. Well, I've been
Right.
doing this for 10 years, but you married now. Well, that don't matter. Please help us.
Mm-hmm. So I think most couples don't really talk about what's going to happen if things aren't always, sunshine and rainbows. So how do they feel when trouble comes? How are they going to respond to you when they are having a bad day? How are they going to respond to trouble that comes into the marriage? Are you someone that believes in divorce? Are you someone who believes in fighting for a relationship? Are you a quitter when it comes to relationships? Like, where are you mentally in the marriage mental space that I know that you're going to be, faithful, loyal, diligent, respect the marriage, follow through, communicate. Like, how do you feel about divorce? What happens if things aren't flowers and sunshine and rainbows? Those are the conversations that should be taking place before you enter into a marriage.
And you just said a mouthful because the traditional questions, they're weighty questions, but you know what they say, it's the small foxes that spoil the vine. So it's those small things that you say, well, I'll just deal with that later, that you don't figure is going to be something, but
Mm-hmm.
it will.
Mm-hmm.
It will, because if you're used to being single, you got all these little things that you do that make you happy. How's that going to fit into somebody else being in your life unless they understand, I just need this right here for myself?
Mm-hmm.
I just need this right here for myself. That's all. This is so good. I hate to get away from the partner thing because there's a lot of men and women that are older that are single, and they're single because they're looking for a certain type of relationship because they're already stuck in their own way of living.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sometimes the discomfort of, you know, other people that can get in the way of a productive relationship. I believe in the friend relationship first. What about you?
Definitely. I think that's how the premise of all relationships should be. When you think about marriage and that commitment and that union, you have to be friends first.
We're definitely on the same page, and you're on the same page of a lot of my listeners. I have thousands of listeners, and most of them, they're a mature audience because we have lived a while, and you are healing from so much, all that past stuff, past relationships, past this, past that, and to be able to have a playbook
Mhm.
of moving forward. And we know everything's not going to be perfect, but it's workable. So, the last question on partnership. Walk us through a typical morning or evening routine that uh, that really grounds you without you getting in the way of your spouse or without him getting in the way of you.
So he's an early riser. So that helps me because I am not a very talkative early morning person. So he knows that, once, he does his thing and then I get up and then, we end up meeting somewhere mid morning, usually in the bedroom. He's making the bed. and then we'll say our good mornings and have a great day. So, but we always wake up, thankful, right? We wake up, grateful, gratitude, smiling, positivity, try to keep the conversation light and positive. We go to prayer. Either he does his thing, I do my thing in the morning. And so when we come together on that, by mid morning, we come together, finally come together. It's like peanut butter and jelly. It's like, okay, then we've already given each other space to do whatever we needed to do that morning, so that when we do come together, it's always in good company.
I think that is so good because guess what? I know I have a lot of friends. Oh my God, married friends. And girl, they don't talk. They have the male and the female side, right? They're brushing their teeth. They ain't even looking at each other. It is so funny when they talk about it because I do couples counseling. Oh my God, it is so funny. It's like you can hear a pin drop to where they literally don't come together to mid morning, like you just said. It's like, don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. It's like they don't want to hear nothing. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so writing your truth and step it into purpose. Let's talk about that because we got to talk about your writing. You're going on your third book.
Mm-hmm.
So, how did writing your truth change your internal story?
So that goes back to when, I had all my self confidence issues, going through my challenges to get to where I am with education and school and job and everything. So yeah, that just laid the foundation for me because, um, without going through turmoil and tribulations, I couldn't be where I am today.
Yes. Oh, that is. Oh, now that's what I'm talking about. Transparency. What advice do you have for someone who wants to write? But fear, fear of judgment or failure,
Mhm.
delays them from, that project.
You can't worry about what other people are going to think. You're not looking for you know, um, the approval from anyone. So there's no failure when it comes to taking that step and writing your own novel, writing your book, writing your self improvement, whatever it is, whatever you want to write about. There's no failure because it's you. You can't. This is your life. This is your dream. So you don't fail. You don't fail yourself. And you're not trying to do it for someone else's approval. So the only approval you need is yours. So as long as you give yourself the approval and stay true to yourself, keep believing that you can, believe in God, that's going to help you guide you through it. You can do it.
What if, um, because I do counseling, what if the book is your truth about trauma, about so many things that happen that you just gotta, that right, those type of stories people don't write because too many people are involved. Do you still feel the same way?
I think it comes down to healing.
Okay,
And so if someone wants to write their book based on their past trauma, it only can help them
that's
to
right.
do that
Hmm,
because
hmm.
it's really purging, releasing, putting it all down in a way that is communicating to other people to help other people.
Nice.
So just like I had to learn how to, handle my own, self internal conflicts. That book that they want to do for about their trauma, their past experiences, is only going to elevate them higher.
That's a good answer, Dr. D. And that was so kind. The way you answered that, because people that are still hurting, they're kind of rough when they're like, I don't care. They'll use that type of language. Really shows you where a person is. It
Hmm.
really does, dear. The tone, the delivery, the passion in which they speak it, you can tell when a person is still in a place. People like us, life coaches and counselors like us, we can read them. We can read them.
Hmm.
Now, what about this? Is a good one. How do you know when it's time to pivot? into a new calling or refine your current one? Because you know you're doing a lot of things. You're an author, you're a life coach, you're a medical doctor, your wife, you're a mother. Come on now, you're a friend. You're so many things.
So you know when to pivot when you have lost that happy factor. When
Mm.
you go into your workplace or whatever you're doing and you don't have that passion anymore, you're not as happy as you used to be, you're kind of going through the motions of life, that's when you know it's time to do a pivot.
Oh man, that it was short and to the point. When you've lost interest, that's what you're saying, ain't it? When the
Yeah,
fire's gone.
exactly. The
Ooh.
fire is gone. I like the way you said that. When the fire is gone, it's time to move on.
You know, BB King said it when the thrill is gone. But moving on. Now, so now, if a couple wants to grow both together individually, what
Mm-hmm.
are three practices they can start with this week? Because you know we're dwindling down, and I want you to help our people.
Yes. So when you talk about, things you can do together, definitely, having the conversation, right? Going back to communication. So I encourage everybody to at least have one meal together. So for me and my husband, it's always dinner. So we always have our dinner together because I'm at work, he's doing stuff. We don't have breakfast, lunch together. So for us, it's always dinner. So having that one meal together, which will encourage and motivate each other to communicate and talk. Don't have your phones out. And so that's one. Two, definitely, people who pray together stay together. So I definitely encourage having some form of spirituality together, whether it's going to church or doing it online at home together, praying together. So that's number two. And then lastly, I would say making time out just to have some fun. Go out, go on a date. Don't stop dating just because you're married. Go to dinner, go to a movie, go to putt putt, whatever people do these days. That top golf stuff. So
Um,
they can do that too. Just go have fun, go laugh.
okay, I have three 30-second questions. Okay.
Okay.
The first 30-second question is, how do you hold hope for others while not taking on their pain as your own?
Prayer, giving it to God. Praying for them, praying with them.
I was hoping you say that. In my mind, I was saying, let go and let God. I'm so glad you said that. Oh my God. We think alike. That's a good question, love, because you don't want to, it ain't our business. Okay, the next one is, what book you recommend to every couple?
The Five Love Languages. And it's by Gary Chapman, I
Yes,
believe.
that's been around a long time.
Yes, that's a good one. Definitely highly recommended.
Okay, all right. And of course, now our takeaways. I'm interested in the final message. Okay. Any final message to married couples, single listeners, and healers that are tuning in? Because they're all going to be
Mhm.
listening.
Yeah. So I would say of extending grace and forgiveness. Because we all gonna go through challenges in life. We're all gonna have ups and downs, highs and lows, right? So being able to extend grace when it's needed, forgiveness,
Yeah.
um, and being open to receiving, you know, others' opinions. Because we all sometimes will get offended so easy this day and age. So
Mhm.
I would say just to take it with a grain of salt, and try to get past it.
Man, you just make me want to just see lost so many moments with the passion that you exercise when you share. You can tell that your heart is in it, and this is not, this is not fake or for fame. uh, share with the people how they can reach you, and please let's the books. They got to get your books. Let's talk about the two books they can get now, and the one that you're working on, right? And
Okay.
when it'll be out. We need to know when your book signing is going to be. If it's going to be in Atlanta, we need to know some things about you, honey, so we can ride up.
Okay, so anyone who's listening can definitely, first of all and foremost, follow me on social media to stay abreast of all of my activities that I'm doing in the States or abroad. So my Instagram handle is at Dr. Dequesha, DAQUESHA. I'm on Instagram and I have a page on Facebook. And then the website to find out more about me and my releasing spree initiatives are going to be at releasing one, that's the number one.com.
Okay, so now what about your services? You are a life coach. Do you take on clients?
Yes, so I do take on personal clients. The website does have information that they can go in and fill out a form and for help and see when I'm available. So I'll respond to those. They also can DM me on Instagram for connections to so I can figure out when would be a good time that we can do something online through Zoom.
Yes,
The preferred method is to do it through Zoom. So,
absolutely. Now, what are the names of your book again?
so
Books.
the first book is Step Into Your Destiny. Your next best is waiting. Second book is Releasing, Manifesting All of Me. And the third book, you're going to have to stay tuned.
Okay. Now, tell the listeners how just what I just got to know, just a nugget. Give them a nugget on preparation for writing a book.
Do it so don't just pick a time of day to write. Some people say, "Oh, I'm gonna do it after work, or I'm gonna do it before I go to bed, or I'm gonna do it first thing in the morning." Like, don't just pick a time. It's like whenever you feel motivated and moved or inspired to do so, do it. Just even if it's like three sentences. Like you don't have to sit down and do a whole chapter.
That's good. Perfect answer. It has been a pleasure. It no disappointment. Oh my God. It was not like pulling teeth at all. You were ready. You came ready.
Well,
Thank you so much for saying yes to this interview.
no, thank you. Thank you for having me be on your show today. It was a pleasure to connect with you, and it's a pleasure to be involved on this platform. And for me to be where I am, this is definitely divine. And, and I can't leave your show without just saying a couple of thank yous out to some of my sponsors too that have helped me along the way to get to be where I am.
Oh, this is great.
So just a few seconds, I just want to give a shout out to Payless Auto Repair, Kindle Kid, Sanctuary of Grace Church, Damon Hewen, and Damon Hewen Arc Entertainment, that have all helped me to get to be where I am today, to be here in Aruba.
Excellent. Now, I want you to, whenever time permits, I want you to come into the studio live.
Oh, I would love that.
Yes, and I'd like for you to bring your books, and I want
I
us to
would love
talk about
that.
the books because we need to
Yes.
sell some books.
Yes. Let's do it. It's a date.
So yes, I would love you to come into the live studio and just be able to just share and have your way without the questions. Just feel the energy because it's so amazing, and we can just talk about the healing that you want to put in the atmosphere to the listeners on live radio.
Yes.
Okay.
Love
Um,
that. Yes.
Thank you again for saying yes to this interview. I look forward to the relationship because I see one. I really do. And I want to thank my listeners. Y'all are so faithful and loyal. I appreciate you, and I just know that you're excited about this interview. My name is Coach Deb, and I always say that you can't heal if you don't reveal. Remember to love yourself, love everybody, and be an example. Have an amazing day. You deserve it. And God bless you, Dr. D.
Thank you for joining us on. Remember, the path to healing begins with your truth. Until next time, be kind to yourself and keep revealing. You can't heal what you don't reveal. Step by step, let your spirit heal. From shadows to light, your story's the key. Here's to your journey, here's to be